Hello and welcome to the Ferra Film Podcast. Today I have Justin Robinson with me. We had a little technical difficulty in the beginning, but hey, we are up and running with this podcast. I just gotta say, Justin, even before we, start this podcast, it's definitely an honor, getting to speak with you, and you definitely like one of my filmmakers that inspired me.
Thanks, man.
So you want to introduce yourself just in case some people don't know you?
Yeah, man. My name is Justin Robinson. I'm a writer director. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I used to work at Film Riot. I still work with them from afar. It's good friends with Ryan, and so yeah, I make my own stuff, indie films. I haven't made a feature yet, just short films, and I just finished a feature-length documentary about the life and death of my brother. And hopefully, it'll be out in a few months. I'm not sure what it's gonna become in a release form, but yeah. So my main dream is writing and directing feature films, but for now, I do shorts.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely looking for that, documentary that you made for your brother. So how many days it took to film Guess of Honor?
We shot 2.5 days, a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday morning. I relatively shoot pretty quick, but that was a 9.5, almost 10-page script, and so it was the longest shoot I had had really at that point. Normally it's like a day, day and a half, 2 days tops, and us being able to get even a half a day on the next morning, or really like 2 hours, was because we had a location that was about an hour away, and so the cast and crew were kind enough to give me an extra morning to finish.
Yeah, man, I actually rewatched it again before we start recording this podcast.
Nice, man. Thanks for watching that, dude. That was a really special project where a lot of stuff did go right. Film so much doesn't, but a lot of it went right. And I read a quote today from, I think it was a Casey Neistat video of a YouTube guy. And I don't know who the quote is from, but it said, "He who makes no mistakes makes nothing at all." As you know, making stuff, you find all the flaws and stuff that you can get better, and then stuff that just went wrong. And that quote hit me from a different angle today about just the currency of where I'm at, and failures don't really dictate what I do, but they're a part of what I do because I'm a filmmaker, and we're all imperfect people and imperfect filmmakers, and that's an imperfect craft. But Guest of Honor was something where uh, it was just meant to be, I think.
Like Guest of Honor is just amazing. Like I like the cinematography on it, and then everything else with it, like the black and white feel, and then the acting. Honestly, like it's so good.
Incredible team. I was really grateful. My cinematographer buddy Brent, he normally doesn't have much lighting help on our sets because they're so small, but we had a gaffer and a Best Boy Electric come who do anything from like small indie stuff to like Baby Driver or the Marvel movies. They'll be working as an electric at some form on those movies, so they have a pretty wide range of experience, and they're great people first, and then they're great technicians, which we were really grateful to have on that because it was a pretty specific lighting setup.
So you want to talk about who inspires you?
Hmm. As far as like actual working directors that I could contribute a love or respect in tone or quirky characters, I love the Coen brothers. I think Taylor Sheridan is a great writer. He's only directed, I guess, two things now: Yellowstone and Wind River. I love Scott Cooper. I love Hostels. I love Jeff Nichols. Did Mud, Take Shelter. I love most of Tarantino's work. I have a respect for it. I think there's aspects of Wes Anderson that I really connect to, that I love. His are very specific worlds that he creates, and I think that's a pretty gnarly thing to accomplish. But basketball players, it's not film related, but Michael Jordan, Stephen Curry, Pistol Pete. I'm a big basketball fan, lifelong basketball fan, and played through high school. So a lot of that affects my filmmaking in a strange, hard to communicate way. But filmmakers, I would say, yeah, if I'm leaving anybody out, I'm trying to think. I do love M. Night Shyamalan's Signs and The Village. I think those are pretty incredible movies. So a lot of his work has inspired and encouraged and motivated me. Mm, I think that's a fair start. Yeah.
So when I saw like Guest of Honor, like BTS, like I saw like how organized everything was, like and you had the book like for like the most of the actor. I really did like that, and like had the storyboard and the test shot. So I was wondering like how can getting organized can help you like be prepared for like on set.
Yeah, man. I mean, for most of prep, some directors, some filmmakers, that's probably their favorite part because everything is kind of in some ways feasible before locations start falling through or before actors start to reschedule or whatever it is. But I love pre-production in the sense of you can do a lot of directing, you can do a lot of communicating that selfishly and unselfishly can save time on the day of shooting. You can answer questions that might be asked, and I think that's a really powerful tool because obviously 10 hours, 8-hour day is there's so much questions that will have to be answered. And I think if you can limit that and actually get the shooting by answering them weeks ahead or months ahead or communicating through a Google Doc or a PDF of a shot list that everyone can know where you're at, I think it's a simple way to show crew that you've done the work instead of just showing up. And yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? We should probably put the camera here and maybe there. And I think that can be very disrespectful to not be the person at the helm, if you will, and not be the one that's willing and showing people that I've done the work to prove that it's a worthy task, and that's what I'm asking of myself, let alone of you coming and helping me make this.
Yeah, same here. Like I like getting organized on set, like know what I'm going to before I actually do it. Like the shots I want to pull off.
And I'm not like I know Roger Deakins and M Night Shyamalan like full out storyboard, get a storyboard artist and go through the whole thing, which I love and respect, but I don't have that capability. And also I love that idea because you hear people that prep that well and some people don't like that prep, people who want to be more fluid, and it's to each his own, to each her own. And I think when you do that prep though, you are able to throw it out and then find, oh, this location is like the opposite of what we planned for, so now we have to change. I think it's a powerful thing to be able to throw it away. And when you have nothing, I'm more of a preparer on the front end, so that's kind of how my mind works. But I think there is a power and ability because you have to make decisions off the fly, so I think you have to be able to do that. But I plan to execute something rather than just to make it up on the day.
So I have to ask this because I'm a big Film Riot fan. So what is your favorite behind the scene moment for Film Riot? It can either be like a skit you did or like a short film.
My favorite memory? Hmm. Well, the first time I met Ryan, we hadn't even Skyped at that point, but I was flying out to Texas to do the behind the scenes. I was going to direct all the behind the scenes of their project Outsiders, that zombie thing that didn't happen. And I land, he picks me up. It's just me and him. We've met, we've seen each other in person for the first time. And he says, "What's the worst thing I could tell you?" I'm like, "Oh, your location fell through." And he's like, "Worse." I'm like, your talent is unavailable or something?" He's like, "Worse." I'm like, "Money?" And he's like, "Yeah." And it just like the funding kind of, and it was from then. So I'm supposed to be there for, we were supposed to shoot for a week. And then I think we had a few days of prep on the front and back end and wrap. So I was going to be there for like 2 weeks. And now we technically didn't have anything to do. And as he's driving me to his house and I'm sleeping on his couch and we're all kind of hanging, and like they had kind of caught all the crew and cast before we had come, like canceled stuff. But me and the composer, Daniel James, a brilliant guy from London, were at his house. And we're like, well, I mean, we do have all this gear. And like 3 days later, he co-wrote a short with Seth Worley, and we were scouting this random field in Texas, and we're driving like 5 hours every day there and back to go shoot this thing. And it was just this amazing raw, like we had this level of innocence to not even know, like it took us 2 days to realize like we should just book hotels near the location because it was so far. And it was just this pure filmmaking, guerrilla filmmaking experience of learning each other. I think that experience was really fundamental in our relationship as friends because we both were willing to, I was willing to get down in the mud for him and gladly would do it again, and vice versa. So it was just a cool thing of where people come together in a hard circumstance, because I don't think if he wouldn't have made Proximity, that would have been a harder process to come out of, and for everybody. But I know for Ryan, 'cause he shoulders a lot. But that was a pretty monumental experience. And then just getting to work at Film Riot, being there every day, like being around Josh, he's just one of the funniest, most sincere dudes. But I mean, just like you go out of your way to try to make him laugh, because with us it comes naturally, but there's just something about him that's so fun and pure, and their bond and the way that they work is a really special thing. I mean, to get to work with your family and not hate your family is more than a lot of people can do, and they have a really special thing going there. So there's a lot. proximity was I guess the conduit of everything, but and then just years and years of consistent laughter and psychotic jokes. We just, we still love each other.
No, I definitely do like proximity because it kind of like, turning itself into like a good thing. Like, oh, we can't do outstairs, so let's do this. Which I find that like amazing. Like, oh, like let's just do plan B. We got the gear and we'll do it.
Yeah, it was, man, and it was just amazing how it happened. Even in retrospect, I think it deserves a lot more. It was ahead of its time, but just the way that we made it was like literally his family and me. That was it. It was just not preferable for people to try to actually make a film of a serious tone and quality, and he killed it.
So, what is the best way for like getting work out there to the public?
I don't know the best way. I've always been pretty self-disciplined and just making stuff no matter what. And I've never submitted to Sundance or Cannes or Tribeca or anything like that. I've done a few of the smaller, medium level festivals, and it is hard if you can't go to them. But if you can, which I've been to a few that are, I would say, smaller, and normally that doesn't really help the longevity of your career necessarily if it's, the smallest festival in your town. It's worth a shot. Like I've only lived in Charlotte for a couple of years, and so I invested in submitting a couple there, and that was a cool experience to meet a couple of people. But as far as like the quality of films at the festival, it's not something that you're like, oh, okay, it's just something that supporting the local community and trying to meet other filmmakers, actors. But for me, it's always been putting it online, putting it on Vimeo, putting it on YouTube, and a lot of people say it just takes one person to see it. I haven't had that one phone call that's like so and so saw it and they want to fund your career. But I've done short of the week. I've submitted a few, probably 4 films to short of the week, and one got accepted. That was really helpful as far as like my mind doesn't think make a film that gets a lot of views. Obviously, working at Film Riot, you're more aware of views and comments because there's all sorts of people out there. But short of the week helped get a lot of views, and because it's watched by actual filmmakers, I was connecting with filmmakers. And then a film I made in 2014 called Grape Soda got a Vimeo staff pick, and I didn't really fully understand what that was, but it was like a month and it had 100,000 views, and that's the most views I had at the time, and that was kind of a more film relegated audience, and so you're working with filmmakers and actors, and that helped a lot. That was actually like probably the most beneficial thing yet. So I mean, Film Riot's been an amazing thing because it's almost like they have their own distribution channel now without allowing other people to post their films there. So I don't know the best, but if you have the money to submit to a bunch of festivals, do it. If you have a big following, that probably won't hurt you. But if you have 20 followers, I mean, putting your film out there would not hurt you, and just pump it out. And so I don't know the best. I'm still learning out. Even with my documentary, I don't know. It'll probably just be some sort of self release of some kind. But yeah, I don't know. Because some people do festivals, and then by the time they're done with a 2-year festival run, their film is like outdated, and then it goes online, and then it's like doesn't really do well for them. But it's I think user error, and I think it's up to you of how it works. But I the best views, I don't think it ever hurt anybody. But there's a lot of great films out there that don't have many views, but it's done well for them in their career. And I was talking to somebody recently about my documentary, and they were just, is it like do it on Amazon? Do you get a sales rep and try to sell it to Netflix or whatever? All these things, and somebody was just like, you just put it as many places as you can. If it's not going to be on some big streaming, and if that's the answer, cool. If not, that's just how some people do it. They put it on Vimeo, Amazon, YouTube, Hulu, all the thousands of streaming services now.
So, what is your advice for staying creative during these times?
Yeah, dude, it's a historically weird time. I mean, obviously, as long as people are being safe, I mean, do what you can. I mean, some people I know have had a harder time being creative in this time. They feel somewhat claustrophobic or trapped or mentally, at a red light. And I've kind of experienced both because I'm pretty self-driven to where I can write in any environment. I could write at a coffee shop, at a restaurant, at my apartment. And so the first couple weeks of it, I was finishing a feature. And so I was actually really heavily involved. Like it wasn't affecting me because my schedule hasn't changed, but my life has changed and lost a lot of work because of it. So it's like, well, what else do? I sit down and write. So advice wise, I mean, know yourself. If you are having a hard time or you are just stuck, I mean, go for a walk if you can. If your park is open near you, I mean, go for a run, go shoot a basketball if you can. Like all the things that I would do. I grew up at the beach, and so that's something that I would do if I had the ability to kind of reset there. But I mean, for me, I just have to power through it no matter how creatively stuck I feel or claustrophobic I feel, because none of that's going to change, and I don't want to change with the tides. I don't want to change if the weather's rainy. I want to write no matter if it's storming or, obviously if it's not safe and there's a hurricane that's going to tear down my apartment, I'm going to stop writing. But I think it's just a test, a weird test that mentally staying sane is the most important thing. A script is not the most important thing right now, but if that is what you're doing, keep doing it. And like I said, that quote from that video is like, he who makes no mistakes makes nothing at all. So if it's driven by fear, or I have to be in the right mindset to write, or I have to be inspired to write, I don't think will carry you for a long time. So it's a test to see, where your priorities are as a person and as a writer, and what you need to do to keep those balanced. So I'm figuring it out myself. So if you have advice, if anybody has advice, let me know. But
No, yeah, honestly, like, same here with me. Like, I'm just trying to, keep myself, like, creative during these times.
yeah, it's a tough time. It's weird, man. It's kind of unexplainable. It'll look weird in the history books, probably. A bunch of people in masks at Walmart, but it is what it is, and that's where we're at.
So what is your advice for, like, someone getting started out there and, like, like, find their own path? Because, everyone has their own path, of course.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. I mean, like my cinematographer friend Brent, he became a cinematographer through the lighting background. So he was an electrician, he was a rigging electrician, he was a best boy, he was a gaffer, and then he started shooting, and then he was a DP. So a lot of camera assistants will come up through that. There'll be a utility, a camera PA, a loader, a second AC, first AC, camera operator, and then eventually they'll become a DP. Same way with an AD, there'll be a PA, key set PA, blah, 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 all the way to the top. That's a fine and worthy path. Or you could be Quentin Tarantino and work at a video store and watch thousands and thousands of movies and then write scripts and you're a genius. Or you can, do something else. Like I played basketball, and then filmmaking was what I stuck with after basketball. And so my path is very different than yours and his and hers and down the row. And so whatever your path is, I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day if you're working and writing. And like all of the greats, Tarantino, it's like, what was he doing at a video store? He was just gaining knowledge, and then he started writing. And he went to acting class to understand dialogue and to understand acting, and that's what helped him. And there's like Scott Cooper was an actor who wrote Hostels. He was an actor for a long time and had little roles, and then he started writing and directing. And then same thing with Taylor Sheridan. He was a Sons of Anarchy and all these shows, and then he was like, I'm tired of delivering crap dialogue, and so he started writing his own, and he's like one of the best writers in Hollywood now. And just individualistic guy that had enough of being told what to do and decided to do it himself. And that's his path, and I think that's amazing. He just had a really low overhead with a crappy apartment, and he paid rent and wrote, and that's how. I mean, he's making a lot of money now, I'm sure, but that was his path, and I'm still figuring out my path. But don't be afraid of whatever your path is. If it's I came at this too late. I came at this, I'm not like so and so. You're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be who you are. I'm not supposed to be like Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is so separate than me and pretty much everything, but I love and respect his work, and the same way I would love and respect, Greta Gerwig, who did Little Women. It's like, yeah, you do you, man. You do you, and I'll do me, and that's beautiful. So whatever your path is, just keep following it, because you shouldn't take anyone else's.
So when did you start out as a filmmaker?
Oh, man. Oh, we had a VHS camera in middle school, and I was editing VHS to VHS, which was super old school now. And I'm not even that old, but that was initially like, didn't know I wanted to be a filmmaker, didn't even really know what a director or cinematographer or lighting or the 180, anything about that. So I just developed like a pure sheer joy of just making silly videos. And then it was right high school where I started making sketches in my senior year. And then my freshman year of college, I wanted to be a filmmaker. And then I was making sketches with I was in the DSLR craze, 2011, when 5Ds and 7Ds came out. And so I had those and a bunch of the Canon L series lenses and Rokinon lenses and Rode mics and shoulder rigs and that era. I was just making my own stuff and trying to figure it out and trying to find content to learn from. Like there's not, there's video essays and YouTube channels devoted to film, but Film Riot was one of like 3 film related things back at the time where I was learning. So it wasn't like you could, Google the specific idea of thing that you need. Because I even get messages relating to Film Riot of like, hey, tell me how to do this one very specific effect. I'm like, well, you don't know anything about me because I don't do effects, but also like that's a weird way of asking what you need instead of, how can I learn? It's just telling someone to do it for them. I think that's developed a weird sense of a lot of YouTube knuckleheads of you have to go do the work too. Like, if you ask me to read your script, that's one thing. But if you're asking me to read it and then write it, and you're asking me to do work that you're not doing, which I don't want to be a part of. And so I think it's kind of a weird era for people learning how to do it themselves and how do I do it and how do I have my own voice, because everyone kind of feels like a carbon copy of another person. Not that you can't see a reference of someone's work and someone's newer work and go, oh, I definitely see how you were influenced by Wes Anderson or whatever. But I think it's figuring yourself out at the beginning is, for me, one of my biggest mindsets and philosophies on writing is write the film I want to see. Just write a film I want to watch, not write a film that has perfect structure, write a film that has, the to save a cat moment. It's just write a movie I want to see. And that's been a really freeing and identifying thing in myself. To all this structure will instinctively hopefully come out of that, but I think that's a thing that a lot of people are figuring out and need to, and myself included, of getting started and staying consistent to who I am, because I'm so different than Ryan Conley and vice versa. And I think there's beauty in his films and beauty in mine and the difference of it. And I think that's why humanity can be great, because we're so diverse and so different. And I'm not going to make the same film he or she will, but I love that film that they made. So I don't know if that answers a fully fleshed out question you had.
So, like, how do you find, like, the right actors for your film?
I'm not sure if I have a great answer, but my motivation is to find a great person, someone I can hang out with, someone I can trust, as in if my wife or a close friend is on set, and I won't be worried that they're going to do something illegal or ethically wrong. So finding great people and great artists is something that I try to marry with. Same with crew. It's a great person, that's a great technician, that's awesome. I mean, some people are just great technicians and not people you want to have over for dinner, and that's fine. There's a place for that. But generally speaking, the top, the leaders, my 5 starting players, I want people who are naturally good people. So I've worked with a lot of people who are friends first that are actors instead of actors who become friends. It's people that want to do good work, because if you're willing to work with me, that means that either your career is terrible or you're a really great person. And so finding those people that want to do good work and are willing to come with a crew of 7, 8, 10 people and do their best work and give their most yet, I think that's people I want to work with. But you can obviously get a bad egg in that batch, so you never know. But you got to try. Then okay, well, I'm not going to hire that person again.
So, what is your advice for, like, finding the best location?
Finding a location, that it depends on the film, man. I mean, there's obviously social media now, and that's one of the reasons I have social media is because it's so helpful for filmmaking and to stay connected. But with that one, I got really lucky. We were going to build a set, and didn't happen. And so this soundstage was a pretty amazing option for us not to have to company move and go to all these locations. We could kind of have like 4 or 5 locations in the building in a way of strategic, creative filmmaking. And so that was a really amazing steal of the guy who runs it is amazing, Matt Wins. And we just got really lucky to have that opportunity to work together. And he gave us a deal, and he was awesome to work with. The facility's amazing. And so it depends on what it is. I mean, what you have, like I used to, before that, I would shoot all of my shorts when I lived in Greenville, South Carolina, either at my parents' house or my girlfriend's parents' house. That was pretty much it. And then I found a few locations for certain scenes, but I wrote in that mindset of what could I do? What do I have at my leisure that I can pull off? And I have this house that doesn't look like my house, and it has a tree house, and it has this, so it depends on what you have. I mean, that's a question I can't answer, but to start with, what do you have? And then after that, asking on Facebook, hey, does anyone have a basement that we can shoot a murder scene in, that we can shoot whatever it is. It's people that are willing to let you dream a little bit and see creative future in your life and go, yeah, I want to be part of that. Like you can come film in my woods, you can film a little army movie back there. Don't shoot anybody, but have fun, and make your movie. I think there's people like that will help you in your life. I've had people step in and let us shoot on their property and, nothing in return. And I think there's people out there like that.
For me, myself, like, I use my friends from college, I use my friends from high school, and I just use whatever. Like, I'm trying to, like, expand. And I know that's what I've been doing lately. What is the best BTS moment from your short film, Guess of Honor?
I don't know. I love behind the scenes because, I mean, there's just stuff you miss. I mean, you're so hyper focused as a director that, something happened in the other room or something that you just were in the moment knowing is happening, and then you forget it. So getting to relive and getting to see crew working or see some crew do something for the film for you that you didn't quite catch on the day is really beautiful. It's like someone telling you in your ear, hey, so and so did this for you. And I'm all, wow. And two, I watch it to study a lot of mistakes of my own. I watch it to study my communication and the lack of, and try to learn from it. And so that's a really valuable tool for me. And two, it's like if you ever gone to like a camp or a church camp thing, it's kind of like that recap video that you're like, oh yeah, we did all that. Look at that. And that was my summer that year. That's what I did. Summer 2005. I went to, and so it's a really great like memory bank, little treasure chest of memories to go back and relive and go, yeah, we did do that. Wow, we really did try. We gave our best effort. So I think it's a beautiful thing that not every filmmaker does. I mean, it's to their own preference, or if they do a commentary or no BTS, I respect both, but I like to do it.
No, yeah, I definitely do like that, because, like, I like going back to my mistakes. I like improving myself also. Like, I like to watch my BTS and see, like, oh, I could do that better in communication. I could do that better, because I'm still learning.
Yeah, you cannot be stagnant as a filmmaker. I mean, that's just not a thing that I'm interested in, at least.
So, what is your best part about being a filmmaker?
It's such an all-consuming, it's not just one thing, but I do love the writing and acting the most. I think that's the thing I'm trying to get better at the most, is to have really good writing and really good performances, because that outweighs everything for me. It's because wardrobe can always change, and lighting and camera can always change, but acting and writing are something that need to be solidified in your work. And so that's something I really try hard to do, and I'm learning a lot in the strengths and weaknesses of myself. So those are probably my two favorite, getting to watch actors. I'm next to the camera. I'm like 3 feet away from them, watching them think and do and feel. And it's a really cool privilege to be in that room and literally make up, for the lack of a better word, or magic. It's like something that's not happening, and then it happens, and you record it through this machine, and somehow we have a movie out of it. It's a pretty magical thing. So the writing and the acting are what I'm drawn to the most.
I particularly like when, like, the BTS for, like, Guest of Honor, like, how you get the actor, like, in that moment right there, like, from the sock, or, like, from the book, you show the actor how they supposed to be feeling during that scene.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I mean, they were very open actors and very cool filmmakers in their own right. My leads are both directors and writers in their own way. So they're people that want to tell a good story and want to be available for you as a director, want to be available for the story, and that's all you would ever want. For me, at least, there's not something that surprised me. I was like, I don't know what else you could surprise me with that I would want, but people who are open and not resistant to the truth of the scene and saying, okay, let's do it. I'll go there.
So, what is your favorite movie or TV show?
I don't have one favorite movie. I love No Country for Old Men. I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. My favorite show is probably Fargo, the season one. It's just really quirky, kind of offbeat, dark comedy, crime story, and it just works so well for me. I also love The Office. That's one that me and my wife watch, on the regular. We're making dinner or just chilling. It's kind of on the background. That's just a near perfect show. And we also watch a lot of Andy Griffith, which is like a nostalgic show in childhood. And then watching it as a filmmaker now and watching their blocking and the camera movement, it's actually pretty impressive. Instead of just thinking it as this little small town show, you're like, man, there are technicians doing incredible work in 1965 that like I wish I could do now. I wish I could have blocked a scene like that. And it's Andy Griffith. I don't think anybody views it in that way, but like most shows that you might write off, there's so much talent and technical difficulty behind it. And that's one that I've in the last few years occasionally I'll catch at a hotel or in passing, and I'm like, wow, look at that. Like I just study it rather than watch it. That's kind of where I'm at with most things. But what about you? What's your favorite show you're watching?
For my favorite show, I like The Office and The Mandalorian. I'm currently watching, well, re-watching.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
So Justin, I got like 2 more questions for you and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
What are your plans for the future?
My plans to make it through this year, or release the documentary, hopefully get some work again. I'm going to keep writing. This year has specifically been the year to, before I knew coronavirus was going to happen, the year to start writing features and stack them up. I had plans to shoot another short this summer with an actor who was only available from March to September, and I don't think that's going to happen now. And so I think just tabling that, because I want to make a few more shorts before I delve into trying even think about making a feature yet. But as far as this year, I just want to write a handful of features. So I've written 2 so far, and so I'm hoping for 2 more by the end of the year. And then I'm not sure about next year, but I'm going to continue writing features. I have a handful of ideas I need to get out of my system before I can try to start writing for hire maybe. And I need to get the ones that I know I want to make myself as a director, and then the ones that I could be willing to just write. So I'm trying to get the ones out first of my system. But I have no idea what even, June holds up. I don't know what the world and the NBA or the city I live in is going to be doing. So I would love to screen my documentary with an actual audience in the room, but who knows if that's going to happen. But that's kind of the dream. But I don't know. Other than that, yeah, there's a lot I don't know, but I know I'm going to keep writing, and that's about it.
I gotta say, man, like, it's definitely an honor to have you on this podcast. Having a chat with you.
Thanks, man. No problem, man. I'm sorry the audio is not great if the mic didn't work, but yeah, what's your story, man?
So I want to be a film director. Right now, like, I'm trying out every genre, seeing what I like the most.
Are you in college? Or
Yeah, I go to college. I go to NIT.
you're in college? Okay, what year are you?
I'm in my 4th term.
Oh, okay. So you're all online school now?
Yeah, we're online right now for the whole Zoom classes thing.
Man, what a time. Is that better or worse?
I don't know, like, I kind of like it, but it's kind of weird at the same time. Like, I guess I can work at my own pace, honestly, at my house.
Yeah. I probably would have preferred it myself, but it's a weird circumstance to have that.
No, yeah, definitely, man. It's definitely a weird, circumstance we're in right now. Like, the only downside of it is, like, all the equipment, all the gear is at the school, so, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sadly, that's the only unfortunate side to it. I hope everything, gets back to normal soon, because, a lot of opportunity got taken away from me. I had to delay some projects, so, I mean, I'm just seeing what's what's gonna happen.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, I don't even know how when everything gets back to a new normal. I don't even know what that's going to look like. 'Cause I work as a camera assistant a lot, a camera operator, and so I'm in the camera department, near cast, near the above the line people, directors and producers. And with all this, I'm not sure what it's going to look like. So, but yeah, man.
So this is it for the Ferra Film Podcast. I'd like to say, Justin, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure, having a chat with you, getting to talk about directing, get to talk about your short film guests of honor, and I'll see you guys in the next